Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome you all to AWS Introduction for Developers, organized by SLIIT FOSS Community in collaboration with DevOps Sri Lanka. Today we have Arshad Zackeriya, who is DevOps Consultant from Palo IT Singapore and member of DevOps Sri Lanka. Hello, Zach.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can go ahead, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Hi everyone. So I think you already gave a small introduction. So my name is Arshad Zackeriya. So most of the developers and DevOps engineers, others knows me as Zach. So in Sri Lankan DevOps industry. So basically, I'm currently working as a DevOps consultant at Palo IT Singapore. We are agile coaching company based in Singapore. So I'm currently a member of DevOps Sri Lanka and AWS Community Builder right now. So let's go ahead and start the session about the AWS introduction for developers. This is kind of I have to heads up. This is a basic introduction. I have already had a chat with Chamot from your community, FOSS community. So we'll be planning to do some sessions in the future. So this is a basic introduction. So what are the tools and how they're working and why you need those tools and like that. I'll be giving an introduction about overall about the AWS. So let's see how are the things happen before the cloud, right? So I started my career in 2009. So those days we didn't have something as cloud. So first cloud I used. There are some few cloud service providers in those days. Even I don't remember the names now. So those days, spinning up a Linux instance is not easy as right now. You need some permission, and sometimes it will take some few hours to spin up. We have to wait till request from the support team to do that, so on. So now it's easy, right? You just log into any console in AWS, Google, Azure. You just create a VM within few seconds. You can spin up a server. But those days we had to work with bare metal. I had experience working in the server rooms. It's very dusty sometimes and not easy to upgrade the memories. It's not flexible. You cannot elasticable like right now we're doing in the current moment. So the cloud computing, it came mainly because of the on-demand delivery of high resource, right? So the main thing is when AWS started, they started with S3 and SQS because they needed that services for their the e-commerce side. So the pay-as-you-go pricing is really, really convenient because if you're buying a blade server or a rack server, it's not easy. It's very expensive for importing from maybe US. You have to pay the customs and I have gone through that. You have to declare a lot of documents to get the service to your office premises. And maintaining cost, you have to give continuous power. And if you have a disaster DR site, you have to get another clone of that server, and you have to set it up there as well. And if you get the ROI, it's very, very expensive. So after the pay as you go, this pricing model came with the cloud servers. It's very easy. When you need, you can spin up a server. And when you don't need, then you can just delete it. And after that, we know serverless. Serverless are really, really trendy now, and even the containers. So serverless, you have to pay only the function, the execution time, or the resources, whatever you're using in your application. So a lot of companies moving to serverless as well. So it's not only the computing, it's storage and databases and other hosted services, PaaS, SaaS, a lot of things are there. So you can easily get things done. So when it comes to AWS, so AWS is one of the cloud providers in the market right now. It's like Google Cloud, Azure Cloud, Oracle Cloud, and so on. So AWS currently they have like 24 regions, as I remember currently, and there are few regions to come. Even in Bangalore, India, they are supposed to come, and Indonesia, Jakarta, and one in Melbourne as well. So they keep expanding their regions. So basically, if you're new to AWS, maybe wondering, maybe some might already know AWS, they know what are the regions. So region is basically a geographical location. Let's assume it's a data center in a specific location. So let's get Singapore. Singapore has a region, AP Southeast 1. So in Singapore, there are like, there's a region, it's geographically locked inside the Singapore. So why the regions are really important? Because the one thing is, if you're working for a government entity or a bank or like a very but with sensitive data, they don't want to get your data outside of the country. So basically, it's kind of like Singapore or US, German, so on. They need their data inside their country, like on their premises, so they can make sure their data is safe. Especially in Singapore, they have like a thing called data is a protection, PDPA, personal data protection. So if you're storing user data, it's not easy but we're doing in Sri Lanka. There are a lot of compliance has to be done, a lot of things to sign. If anything goes wrong, they can sue. Government can sue you basically. So keeping multiple regions in around the world is really important to satisfy the requirements of their customers in the particular region. So this is really, really important when it comes to regions. So more the regions, it's more flexible for customers to host the application. So inside the region, there are things called availability zone. So it's very simple. I will explain what the availability zone is in our one way. Let's assume we have a data set, region in Sri Lanka in the future. Maybe AWS is going to have a data set in Sri Lanka. Let's assume. So we need some multiple availability zones to keep our DRs, right? So if the application, if one DR is going down, others should be available to satisfy the requirement. So let's assume Colombo 3, we have a data set. We have few data centers, maybe on Liberty Plaza somewhere. We have one. Maybe another one in Mount Lavinia, another one. Maybe another one in Batramulla. There's a third availability zone. So if anything goes wrong, let's assume, okay, there's a tsunami hit or anything happened to the Gold Road site and one data center is going down, and can make sure other data centers are up and running. If anything like sensitive, like critical sites like banking applications or like anything related to financial, anything related to medical, like those applications will need DR sites. So this is really important to understand what the region and what availability zone. So one region can be a single data center or multiple data center. It depends on. So the new regions, all AWS creating is starting with minimum 3 regions. 3 availability zones. Before I remember they had like 2, even like in Mumbai a while ago, but now they're expanding a lot availability zones inside the region. So a region, then you go to the next availability zone. Then inside the availability zone, the network, right? So why I added this one without infrastructure proper networking, we cannot implement anything. Our application we can run anything properly. So this VPC, I know it's not complicated. Let me explain bit by bit, but in the end, I have a huge architecture. I will explain real nice. So in AWS VPC is the virtual private cloud. Let's assume it's like your home router. It has a CIDR block with IP address, and you can break it to subnets. So I know you all are like university students. You know maybe what the subnet is. So you can use your VPC CIDR into multiple subnet too. You can divide those subnet to different purposes. For example, for your public zones, like you can use your load balancers and your application stack. Maybe you can use for your database stack as well. So don't worry about this. Later on, there's another nice diagram. I will explain that because I want to explain each of these tools to give a explain each of tools to understand what is a proper VPC. So since FOSS is about the open source, I want to like to add this slide because AWS is currently they're contributing a lot of things to the open source community. So one of is EKS distro. EKS distro means Elastic Kubernetes Service. They are hosted managed Kubernetes service in AWS. So it's open source now. You can download it and you can use it as your on-premises, your own container management platform. And the Botrocket is operating system. It's mainly created for run containers. It's very lightweight. So that's one of the project as well. The Firecracker. So I think a lot of people know Firecracker. It's a VM platform. Like, you know, this is the backbone of the, if you heard about AWS Fargate, I will explain a bit in the slides. So they're using Firecracker basically. So I love the AWS Amplify. If you're into mobile app development, Amplify is such a great tool. You can create your authentication, authorization, content delivery, the database creation, everything in one platform. You can create everything using AWS Amplify. So there are 1,200 more projects. If you go to this URL, you can find a lot of open source project which is contributed by AWS. So let's go with category one by one. So computing. The computing, the main VM one is the EC2, Elastic Computing version 2. So basically, if you want to install, if you need a Ubuntu server for run your application stack, maybe you want to run MS SQL on a server, you can run that one on the EC2 instance. So EC2 instance comes with different images in the market, and you can there are free images and there are marketplace you can buy as well. Like for example, if you want to buy an appliance from a particular vendor, maybe VMware, maybe Trend Micro, they're providing their own image as well. So you can spin up a server and you can work out it on. So Lightsail is a couple of years ago. Lightsail came. I think you're all familiar with DigitalOcean. It's very, very cheap. So you're paying just per month a small amount, like $5. You get 2 GB RAM and 2 vCPU like that. So Lightsail is like that. If you don't want to elastic your application server, you can just try the Lightsail. It's cheap actually compared to EC2 because EC2 is charging for each minute. So Lightsail is a really good start point if you're trying to test your applications, anything. So Lambda is for the serverless. It's a function based. So basically, we can write your application into function based. So Lambda can trigger each function, and it can work as serverless. It's very, very cheap. So it's a good one to try as well. Integrate with the API gateway. I will explain that in a bit. So Beanstalk also, it's like predefined applications there. For example, if you want to run a Magento stack, you can just go select, like a few click, you can up and run a Magento stack within a few minutes, like that. So I want to explain something here. So a lot of kind of messages I'm getting usually like, okay, I want to host my React application on the AWS. What the best solution I can go? So basically, I have seen a lot of people, what they're doing is they spin up a EC2 instance and installing Node and running their Node application. So actually, don't need to do like that. It's there are other options like Beanstalk, Lightsail, and further options are there. So in the end, I have a small demo. I will explain you why that really easy to go like that. So let's go to the next slide. For the containers, they have ECS. If you want to if your application stack is fully AWS in the ecosystem, yes, please go with ECS because it's really, really easy. If your application is fully on AWS ecosystem, if they are native containerizing orchestration platform by AWS, it supports a lot of things now. And EKS is, as you know, it's a Kubernetes Elastic Kubernetes service. It's a managed Kubernetes service provided by AWS. So ECR is the Elastic Container Registry. It's you can store your container images in this container registry. So recently, after last year reInvent, they announced that now they support public. You can host public repository as well, because now the Docker, there's a limitation, right? Without login, you cannot pull images. A lot of pipelines are crashing because of that. So basically, you can use as a alternative the ECR public repository as well. So Fargate, remember, right? I was talking about the Firecracker. So basically, you can use Fargate with ECS or EKS. I'll give a small brief why that's really important and what is the benefit of that. Okay, let's assume you have a Kubernetes cluster and running with 2 worker nodes, 2 VMs, 2 Ask worker nodes. And let's assume you're not utilizing that nodes much as you want. You're using for maybe like a cron jobs, and it's those applications don't need to be available always. So Fargate is a good option because you can give the minimum and maximum amount resource you want. So it will scale because it's a farm, right? So it will scale whenever the load is coming into your cluster, and it will scale down automatically within few seconds. So it's very, very fast and a bit pricey as well. So databases, we have Aurora. Aurora is it's basically they have Aurora like they're on the Postgres and MySQL. It's custom made by Amazon to optimize on their hardware and give it the best performance. So Aurora supports a lot of things as, like if you have multiple database clusters, like you need one write and multiple reads, Aurora can scale up to 15 writes, and it's fault tolerance. Like if the master is down, automatically it will shift one of the read to master, it will sync. I think there's a millisecond of lag, but it will sync very fast. So document DB is a managed service for the basically for the MongoDB, and I think it's also very recently, but I never tried that. But DynamoDB is we are using. So it's also a NoSQL database by AWS. So Elastic Cache you can use for your managed sessions, for caching. So it's very easy to use Elastic clusters. I have used with my experience with Magento. So you can auto scale and scale down without any downtime in the Elastic Cache cluster for the Redis. And RDS is the relation database service by AWS. So you can spin up RDS within few minutes. It will spin up your MySQL, SQL, and Postgres. A lot of other databases support there, so it can spin up and give the endpoint to access. Storage, EBS for the Elastic Box Storage, like we were talking about EC2 instances. So basically, these are the volumes of the EC2 instances. You can attach multiple, you can do arrays. You can set up array using multiple EBS volumes attached to one VM. So EFS is Elastic File Service System. So it's basically, if you want, for example, you're running a multi-container, multi-server application, and you want to mount a generic location to somewhere, persistent volume to your servers. So you can use EFS and you can access those files from each server at the same time. So S3 is it's very common. As you know, it's a object storage by AWS, and there are a lot of tiers are there. So I'm not going to go deeper because this is a basic session today. So there are a lot of tiers. If you're interested, you can go like the Glacier archive. You can archive your data and much more on. And yes, AWS networking and content delivery. This really nice because you know about this Netflix, right? So Netflix basically using this CloudFront, those tools to deliver your the videos and streaming very fast to the customers, because it's a really good CDN tool. I have used with a lot of functions like WAFs and custom rules, and you can do play around a lot of things with the CloudFront. So basically, let's assume if anyone don't know what a CDN is, like, okay, your Netflix or whatever the video streaming files are stored in servers are in US, and you are watching from Sri Lanka, and from US to Sri Lanka, like this very high, right? So what happens is that the CloudFront will it has some edge locations around the world, everywhere, and it will sync all those files near to the nearest edge locations, and it will stream from that edge location, not from the US. So basically, it will cache all over the world. And for developers, I have seen that the issue is always getting, like, if you're using like dynamic content, okay, your change is pushed, but if you're using CloudFront, sometimes if your version is not changed, you're seeing the same one. So at that time, you have to invalidate your data. Otherwise, you will be in the same old version of your file. So Route 53 is AWS DNS service. You can add your alias, CNAMEs, and a lot of things. A lot of health check routes you can do. Let's assume you're using a multiple read replicas from multiple regions. So in Route 50, you can basically set up the endpoints, and you can set up the health checks from the CloudWatch. CloudWatch is the monitoring platform for their metrics. I think next slides, the CloudWatch is inbuilt. So you can set up multi-region setup using Route 53. It's really nice. So VPC is the virtual private cloud. In the previous slide, we had a diagram, right? So basically, this is the heart of the AWS. If you want to learn the AWS, please start from the VPC. Without knowing the VPC in and out, you cannot understand anything. It's a core of the AWS cloud, I would say, because everything is, if you're going, it's basically top of the VPC. So in and out, you should understand VPC very well. If you want, we can have a different session, say separate session only for the VPC because it needs more time to explain. So App Mesh is the AWS provided the service mesh. You can set up with your, even it's supporting now EKS, I'm not quite sure, but ECS, yes, you can do it. And the load balancers, so AWS now have the multiple load balancers like application load balancer, network load balancer. There's a new load balancer, I forgot the name. There's another one which can do like multi-regional traffic controlling. So application load balancer is more convenient, like you can terminate your SSL in front of the load balancer, so no need to terminate from your application stack, so it's very secure. And you can use multiple load balancer to multiple your targets. Maybe you're using multiple applications, but using the root policies, you can use one single load balancer. It's capable of handling a huge traffic. This is really important because this session is more and more developers, so this is really important. So I love these old tools. I have using and still using these tools. So the CloudNine is basically they are ID for your coding, but it's in web based. So basically, it will spin up a EC2 instance, and you can web console. In the web console, there's a nice ID you can work around. So the thing is, it's a bit pricey because you have to spin up a EC2 instance whenever you need. But you can set up the idle time. Like let's assume if you set up the idle time of, say, if you're not going to use within 1 hour, it will shut down and keep it. When you go to the CloudNine again, it will automatically switch on, so you can save the money like that. I would say if you're more into like AWS ecosystem, it's really cool because it's very easy to deploy Lambda functions through that because everything is inbuilt, and you can use a rollback RBAC for your other service authorizations and so on. So CloudNine is a really good tool to actually give a try. So CloudTrail is recently, I believe recently they deployed. So basically in the cloud, you can yes, you can test your, you will get a shell and you can do all your work around here in the Cloud Shell. So I think it's in environment spin up. So we'll see once it's done later. So no need to install your AWS CLI tool. So everything is inbuilt, and the user logged in automatically will get all the permission for that Cloud Shell. So for example, you're a developer, your ops team only provided you the developer related tools, and with your Cloud Shell, you can access all those tools, not the other tools. So like that. So it's really easy and convenient. No need another jump host or a server to log and work. You can work from there. So it's artifact. The code artifact is artifact factory. Like if you have heard about Nessus artifact, so same like that. You can once your package is done, so your artifact you can store and you can recall when you want to deploy it back. So code commit is same like we know, like GitHub, Bitbucket, AWS native code repository for store your code, and all the functions like the repo supporting is still available, and you can use. And it's really cool, like if you're using multi-account architecture, like if you have different accounts in AWS cloud, even from the ASIM role, you can use these code commit services, and you can specifically give your access to your developers. So don't worry with ASIM roles, those words, like those are AWS secret terms. So basically, if another service want to use another service A want to use service B, so we can create a role, and so service A can assume that role and access service B. So imagine like that. So code build basically you can like we do the npm packages, so like go build or whatever the language you're using, or even you can use the code build script to build your artifact, and you can store it in a code artifact, or else like in ECR. If a content image, you can push to ECR basically. So code build helps you to do your building stage, everything, like it will pull the code from the code commit. Maybe if you're running a SonarQube scan for your static code analytics, you can do that one as well. And if you want to do the code scan, like security scan, you can do that one as well. So step by step, you can mention in the pipeline file. So while we are talking, I think I can show you a sample one. So here it's a simple code build file. So basically, it's I'm logging to the ECR and getting the authorization, and I'm downloading the kubectl. And here in the deployment file, I'm changing the app name and the content image. So basically, everything can manage by variables. I will show you the later in the demo. So basically, this is the idea of how the build YAML looks like. So it's very simple. So after that, let's go to the code deploy. So once the build is done, should be deploy, right? So that's why the code deploy comes. So you can deploy multiple in best practice, you can do canary deployments. So canary deployments, if you have let's assume you have 10 servers to deploy the code, you can deploy one by one and see gradually send the traffic to those servers and see whether the deployment success rate. If not, you can easily roll back like that. Or as a blue-green deployment, you can have identical to infrastructure. One is live, one is on the pre-production, you're putting the version 2, and you can switch the DNS and see, okay, the traffic, if there are no any errors, you can switch it back. So keep it as it is. If not, you can switch it back as well. So that's about the code build. It's very easy to deploy code. Unfortunately, still not supporting for the EKS. I'm also waiting for that. But for ECS, yes, the code deploy is supporting. So the code pipeline is all together. From code commit, code build, code deploy all together, we can create a pipeline. So when any commit is done and push to the repo, it will trigger the code commit, and it will push to the code build, and it will go to the, once the artifact is done, it will deploy the code. So pipeline is basically the DevOps pipeline. So each area, it has to do some function. So it will satisfy by these tools. So AWS SDK, yes. So for accessing AWS, you can access to the console and the CLI. So another way is the AWS SDK. If you're familiar with Golang, yes, Golang SDK is there. All the services you can do by your SDK. So basically, if you're creating a cloud managing platform, so if your friend Nilesh is there, right? So they have their platform called Platform. So for data access AWS, they are using AWS SDK. So if you guys need any special, especially if you want to learn about it, so you can contact Nilesh about that, how they're using AWS SDKs with their platform. So monitoring and observability, I really, since a DevOps engineer, I really love this monitoring and observability because it's, I would say it's a very pivotal area to check. So the AWS Express is mainly for the tracing. Observability comes with a few things. So tracing is one of things. So you can see, it's not like what went wrong. You can see why it went wrong and what are the issues and stuff. Like if you have a huge service map, and you can see each service A to service B, how many 500 errors are there, and how many 200 success HTTP requests are there. You can check like that. So the CloudWatch, it's basically the heart of the all the logs in AWS. You can check your application logs. You can integrate your network VPC flow logs. You can database logs. A lot of all the things, and the CloudTrail logs. A lot of things you can build with the CloudWatch. So I think that each of the service need each day to do a session, because we can talk about deeply, and if you have any questions, you have faced some issues, so we can talk, and other engineers also in the industry, so they can help as well. So recently they announced the Grafana and Prometheus. They have this managed service as well. So basically, like you're creating a MySQL server in RDS, you can spin up a Grafana and Prometheus services. Still, I never tried that, but we need to try it in the future. So this is really interesting. AWS front-end mobile app integrations, and I would say I didn't add all the tools because I don't want to, overwhelm everything. So sorry, there's a typo here. Please forgive me. Last moment I created the slides. I was really, really busy. So basically, Amplify. I was talking about Amplify, right? Amplify. You can check that if you're into mobile application development, so you have issues, right? Okay, how I'm going to create a user registration and user authentication authorization. Okay, you're creating a application like Instagram. You want to store your images in the S3 bucket. So S3 bucket, you should make sure, okay, these files are only accessible by this user and other users cannot see. So you have to do the authorization part as well, right? So there's a tool called Cognito in AWS, and it comes to security area. So you can easily implement using Amplify those tools together, and you can create an application. And device farm is, I think they are going to remove this. I think it's coming with mobile hub or something. I'm not quite sure, but device farm is still there. It's basically if you want to run your mobile application in different versions. For example, okay, iOS, it has only a few devices, but when you come to Android, you name it, right? There are a lot of Android versions. So it's not some companies, they're not capable of getting all the devices, right, to check the application. So device farm, you can basically run your applications there and you can test that. So like code artifact. Sorry, this is not code artifact. This is API gateway. So API gateway is really cool. Like it will work with Lambda, and we can use it other tools as well. So there's a small slide related to that. I will show that one. So the AppSync is you're familiar with GraphQL. So it's AWS managed service for that. If you're interested in that, you can use that one as well. So this is actually not code build, it's SNS, simple notification service. For example, if you want to get email notification, SMS notification, for example, if you want to implement it your mobile application, so you can use that. And this is SCS. This is for simple email service. This is it's not notification, we call it as a relay service. I will share an article. I have a Medium article about it. What is the email relay service is? So, for example, I'll give you a good example. Okay, if you're running an email server and in premises, so like cloud somewhere, you never your endpoints. You don't want to export to the web because spam emails can blacklist your endpoint. So basically, you can keep a middleman like these email relay services. So it will send you emails behalf of you. So if you're creating maybe a web application and you need to send emails like user registration and those things, you can simply use SS. It's supporting AWS SDK as well. It's really, really easy to implement. You have to just create your IAM credentials and set it up. It's very easy. So SQS is for your queue service. Like if your application need to be queued, to process some data, let's assume you're processing some data and you need a queue, you can use SQS service for that. I'll go for this 3T architecture. I'm not sure whether it's clear for you, and I hope you can see this. This is a simple, basic 3T architecture about Kubernetes EKS cluster in AWS. So we'll explain. So this is AWS Cloud, and you can see, right, VPC. So all the services inbuilt the VPC. That's why I'm telling you, keep again and again, VPC is really, really important part of if you're learning AWS. So inside the VPC, there are two availability zones. Like I mentioned, it can be multiple data centers. There are two availability zones. Each zones have like different subnets divided. For DMZ, that for the public, and private subnet for the application stack. So entire EKS cluster is not exposed to the internet, and other one for the private subnet for the DB. So here, basically, you can see the DB, and the database I'm using, the Aurora Postgres services. And you can see the slaves and read replicas. It's SIG to the multiple subnets. And application, yes, there are two worker nodes in subnet A and subnet B from the Kubernetes. And you can see here, only for the app subnet, I have a special thing called NAT gateway. Basically, what NAT gateway is, it will allow you only your egress traffic. Basically, any resources inside here, it can go out to the internet, maybe patches, If want to update their systems, everything they can do here in any resources here, but no one can directly come inside from the public to the subnet. So it's really special. I mean, important to secure cluster like this. So the only disadvantages I know, if you're doing like this, okay, let's assume one developer wants to access directly the cluster or Postgres RDS from a local machine, but without a jump host cannot go. I know it's very struggle, but when it comes to security, you cannot take it that as easy. So you got to make sure everything is secure on a private. So what we can do is, if you need a special session about like only for this, like how to deploy a secure application on the cluster, we can talk with the community leaders, and we can do another session someday. So again, I had an issue with this private, the Kubernetes, the control plane. You can get as public or private, but keeping private is the secure, right? So I had this issue, how I'm going to manage it. So again, the Nilesh platform is really easy. You can add these private control planes also that manage. I'm not marketing him, but it's really a good tool for that, because you satisfying those requirements are not easy with the open source tools. You have to do a lot of workarounds, but yes, still it's possible, but you do a lot of workarounds. So that's how. So you see the public subnet, it has integrator, basically egress and ingress both supporting to traffic out and traffic in from the internet. It will the load balancers will be housed in here. So the load balancers will access the privately to these nodes, and it will give the traffic to outside of the cloud. So here it's a WAF is basically a web application firewall, and the CloudFront, like I said, CDN, and Shield for like for the DDoS and network attacks to protect your application. So basically you can access the user. So this is basically simple one. If later if you have any question about this, you can ask. I can explain that. I'm sorry, running out of time. So remember, right? I was talking about Lambda and API Gateway, right? Okay. Let's see. We have application we are creating for serverless user registration and get images and stuff. Okay, let's assume this is the application is for the user registration. So API Gateway, we can create URIs. Okay, /user register. It should go to this Lambda function. So Lambda function will execute the code. Maybe it's checking with the database, and it can come back the response to the user. So the importance of this, and you see, right? So if you have for a simple application, if you spin up a huge EC2 instance, I've seen a lot of places they use AWS without knowing like all the tools and metrics. So it's end up with their huge bill. So some companies they're running unnecessarily the load inside each EC2 instances. Simply they can satisfy with other resources like this. In the demos, I will show how I hosted my static portfolio on AWS. I paying around like $0.5 US per month. So it's simply as it is. So you can easily implement your API Gateway with Lambda functions like this. So this one I really wanted to tell this because a lot of people doing this mistake. I will tell. I can't tell the names of the companies and stuff. But we had a hackathon, one of my previous places. So the developers mistakenly committed their AWS Secrets to the public GitHub. So you know that there are a lot of Python bots are running right now, and it will scan for is there any secrets running? Any secrets stored in the public repo. So what they do is like they will take that credentials and the Bitcoin mining is a big thing these days. So they will spin up a lot of instances. You will get that time I remember 20 to 30,000 US dollars bill they got, but thank God the AWS support is really good, so you can contact them anytime. So when we informed the situation, they understood and they deduct all the amount, so we didn't have to pay anything. So be careful, don't commit your secrets. You can use the secret for testing and purpose, but always try to use role-based authentication. So that is really, really easy. You can use roles to authenticate. Like before I said, like if service A want to access service B, for example, one of your EC2 server want to S3 bucket. don't don't input your code like use your AWS credentials, your secrets to access the AWS S3. Rather than that, you can use IAM roles. A role will assume and it will give the same authentication. We don't know where the password is. So we start a DevOps culture. This is really important because I want to be put something about DevOps as well, because it's not the thing, it's a culture. So implement this DevOps culture into organizations. It will be really easy to your cycle of your application. Don't create apps and database in the public subnet. Like I said before, here, always create private inside the private subnet, because I remember I saw one of the articles done by university students. It's a good. Basically, that time the student is sharing about how to create a AWS RDS and access from the local. But that time all the ports are open. It's using the default username. It's not secure, so it's okay for testing. But make sure you're at least whitelist your IP and do it. So there are things called secret groups in like a virtual firewalls in AWS. So you can whitelist only for your IP. So don't create apps and database in a public subnet. It's really, really dangerous. So manage the security groups well. Yes, don't open for public all the ports. Limit the ports. Open only the required ports and manage it really well. Always check why this is need than what needed. So always check why this needs. Okay, for example, if you're getting after you're graduating, you're going for a company, and okay, when you're getting a project and asking for host a Node.js application or React application. So rather than create what we need, like a EC2 instance RDS and giving a bill for like $500 per month, rather than that, just think, okay, why we need this? Actually really need these things, or we can write the code to use a very less cost optimistic to deliver to the customer. And set up resource alarms and tags. This is really important. A lot of messages I'm getting, like, sometimes they're saying, okay, I deleted all the resources, but still I'm getting the bill. So the thing is, if you create in your AWS console, you can see, right? The multiple regions are there. So if you create some resources inside this North Virginia region, you cannot see in the maybe Singapore. So if you keep checking your Singapore region, the resource is not there, but still you are getting the bill globally, right? So the tags are really, really important. I will show you resource and group titles. So for today's session, I created sample resources and tags. So if you create the tags for all your resources, you can filter whenever you need what are the resources I've created. So the demo. So all the resources are created under a tag here. So you can make sure, even though it's what the region, it will show here, right? Let's assume I created another code build pipeline, code build and code commit in another region. It will show here the region name. So you can a single point to check all your resources at one time. So make sure you tag all the resources properly. That's one of the best practices I would say you can use. And yeah, so I'll explain what is DevOps, because I think it's really important as developers, and we talk about what are the tools we have in AWS. So DevOps is a combination of culture and practice tools, integration, and organization ability to deliver application. So it's high velocity. So that means your deliveries should be very fast. Like, have you ever noticed that, yes, sometimes Facebook's going down and Amazon, but not always, right? So the delivery is very high. So if you have good DevOps culture inside the organization, because if you're graduating newly, so if you have this knowledge about the DevOps, you can adapt to that the culture very easily. So it's mainly about culture, how the things they're doing, and practice. You have to practice. You have to keep doing it, even though you're doing a long way, but you're doing it. That on the tools comes like Kubernetes, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure DevOps tools, Docker, you name it. So most of people thinking like DevOps means AWS, DevOps means Kubernetes. Not wrong. So it's only comes under the tools. So for that, there's a framework called COMS. It's really nice. I cannot explain deeply about that, but the future, if you want another session, we can do it. It's about the culture, like I mentioned, and you automate everything. Even for a small thing, okay, you think like, okay, I'm going to do it now manually. No need, I'm not going to use it again. No, you say sustainable. You automate it, even the small thing. Lean it. Lean is really important. Don't add all the packages. If in the market, don't add all the packages and libraries to your code. Lean it. Remove all the unnecessary things. And measurement is really important. Month end, you should see your success rate. How do you measure the success rate of a deployment? How many failures? How many downtimes? What are your SLA levels? Are they exceeded? So measure your deployments. It's if one engineer is keep doing wrong, don't penalize that engineer. Share the knowledge. The sharing is really important. If the team is running by 5 engineers, if one engineer is doing things wrong, share the knowledge and try to improve him as well, rather scolding him. So DevOps engineer is a developer with operational tendencies. It's really, really simple. And it's a DevOps cycle. So the where we're doing is like AWS code build code, and the code build, it will build the things, and inside the build, you can do the test. And once the release, the code deploy will do the deploy. And CloudWatch X-Ray can do the monitoring, so on. So when it comes to observability, there's a nice tool in AWS with RDS. I have a small example. I will show that. So it's basically, it's not detects what is not working rather than why it's not working. So you have to why, okay, you can say, okay, database service down, it's not working. So rather than saying that, you have to check why the database service is wrong. So that's the best practice for engineer. So with the 7 hours, you still can't understand your own cloud. So the release you're done, 7 hours, still you're not happy. So there's thing called AWS RDS Performance Insight. So you can check how your queries are running. If there's a bad query going on, or like if there's more execution on a particular query. So the left side is a bad query, the optimized query is the right side. So so the small thing you can implement to your code base, and I mean improve your code, then you can keep deploy, you build, you deploy. The cycle is never stop, it will keep going on. So I just want to show these tools because since I'm talking about AWS, I wanted to do this, but there are a lot of other tools as well for the observability. So the demo, it's not a big deal. I have my own portfolio. So I have my own portfolio. So this running on fully AWS. Because we're IT industry, it's not a magic here. Everyone have their own portfolio, they're hosted in somewhere. So basically, this my code is in Bitbucket, okay, and I have created a pipeline for that. If I change anything, it will build and it will deploy the code to the S3 bucket. So basically, I'm using S3, and you can see my blog. I can share this, how to do this. You can, like a homework, I'll share this. You can give a try on your own, how to host a static website using this. So the pipeline should trigger at the moment. So see, it's triggered automatically. So my code GitHub and this one is connected. So until it's going on, I'll show it. Basically, it's once code is changed already. It's not big, it's a small one. I was trying to do a different one, but I'm running out of time. I was really busy these days. So if we go to the side, the file should be there. See. So if you're into AWS ecosystem, please use AWS Code Pipeline, Code Build. It's really, really easy. You can implement everything very easily. So imagine like you don't have to worry about your deployment. You have to worry about your development. It will automatically deploy your code to your cloud. So it's really important. I think only 4 minutes left. I'm really sorry I took more time. So thank you. So guys, over to you.
Thank you very much, Zach, for your wonderful session and your valuable time. Then our SLIIT FOSS President Safnaj ready to announce to you how to win some exciting prizes. Safnaj?
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Arshataya, for the wonderful session on AWS. So we will be having a quiz now, and we got 2 gifts from GitHub. And since we have some industry experts also on this call, we are planning to give those gifts only for the students. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. So go to slido.com and enter this number as the quiz password. Make sure to put your campus email address as the username. No one joined so far. So guys, join as soon as possible. We are running out of time. So let's have one more participant to begin the quiz. It's 19 now. There are more than 50 participants on this call. Okay, we're going to get started. First question is, how many AWS regions available at the moment? Okay, let's move to the next question. Second question is, what is the AWS service to store your objects? Let's move to the next question. What is the AWS native service for container orchestration? And the correct answer is Elastic Container Service. So the fourth question is, what is the AWS fully managed service for GraphQL? Okay, the correct answer is AWS AppSync. Let's move to the final question. What is the AWS Managed Service for a Service Mesh? Correct answer is App Mesh. So here are the winners. Let me take a screenshot. Okay, we will be giving the prize for the first 2 places. Send us a mail for info.slitfoss@gmail.com with your student verifications. So congratulate for the winners. And Arshad, we have some questions from the audience in the YouTube chat box. Shall I begin that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, a question from Dinuan. You mentioned about RBAC with access roles. Do we currently having a mechanism to check their dynamic behavior? Like the request had taken this particular role?
Yeah, whatever the request inside the AWS, there's a service called CloudTrail. You can track everything, like basically who is using this role, if it failed or success. So even if any monkey business is going on, you can check CloudTrail. The CloudTrail is free for like 90 days. The data are there, but if you want to extend that, if you want to stream those logs to S3, you have to pay some money. Yeah, it can. Yeah, try CloudTrail.
Okay, hope it answers. Guys, if you have any questions, please drop in the chat box as soon as possible. And we have one more question from your friend Nilesh Janandana. How to become a DevOps engineer like you? You can give a.
Okay, that's actually a good question. There's no such a thing as a DevOps engineer. I don't believe a thing as a DevOps engineer because, as I mentioned my previous slides, it comes with culture, practice, and tools. So you have to be a developer who knows the best practice of development knowledge and software development industry. And the operation side is, yes, some tools are there, but don't depend on the tools because today maybe another tool and tomorrow be another one. So even for the cloud running, right? So there can be different cloud vendors in the future as well. So if you want to become a good DevOps engineer, there's a person called Jim Kim. I can share some information later with you. You can share with the community. Read those 3 books, the Phoenix Projects, DevOps Handbook, and there's a good book from one Nilesh gave me, SRE, the Google, how the Google is using SRE. That book also good. So read those books, read well, and if you want to become a DevOps, the Sri Lankan industry, a lot of people are like misusing this DevOps engineer thing. There's no such a thing as like a DevOps engineer. If you can become a best DevOps engineer, follow that, how the culture, the practices, and tools. So those 3 are the really important. Yeah.
Okay. One more question from Chatu Vishwajit. When
Sorry.
Sri Lanka get AWS data center?
Sorry?
When Sri Lanka gets AWS data center?
It's I have a friends in AWS, so I had a chat with them. That it's not easy to set up a data center. They're checking a lot of geographical things and the connectivity. Since we are an island, I don't think recently we will be having it. If the future, I'm not working for AWS. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay, that's all the questions from the participants. And Oshadi, I'm over to you.
Yeah. So we have reached the end of today's session. So I would like to thank everyone who participated in today's session. So until the next session, stay safe. Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.